We are now halfway through Michelle's journey for love on The Bachelorette, and like every season, at that halfway point, we get another extended preview to break down. And this time, I think we have everything we need to know how things are going to play out, including who's in the final two, and if Michelle is getting engaged or not. Now there's quite a bit of preview here and a lot to discuss, so let's get right into it, and as per usual, please refrain from posting any blatant spoilers in the comment section below unless it can be backed up with sleuthing, and a link to the full uninterrupted preview is in the description.
These men are putting everything out there for me.
When you know it's real, you know it's real.
With her, everything is perfect.
The more time that I spend with Michelle, the more I realize that she could be the one.
Alright, pausing here to point out the only bit of new footage from this first section of the preview, right here with Rodney saying, "When you know it's real, you know it's real." This is giving me major hometown sit-down vibes. When a contestant sits down with their parents or sibling or close friend, and they're asked something like, "Okay, but are you really in love with this person after so little time?" Or "How can you know this person is the one?" Rodney's response follows what many have said in hometown dates past. When you know it's real, you just know it's real. Also, the setting to me looks like someone's home and not a fancy date. That's the vibe that I'm getting as someone who's seen a lot of hometown dates from this franchise. We'll also get another shot later on that looks like the end of a hometown date with Rodney, but all of this isn't the only reason why I'm thinking Rodney makes it into the final four, and as we go along with the rest of the preview, mark down which men have footage in Mexico or not, which is the filming location for the show after Hometowns. It's not said in this preview, but check out a different promo from Instagram where Michelle says this.
We are in Mexico!
So as we go along, mark down which men have dates in Mexico or not, and which men only have footage in Minnesota. I think that really gives away who's getting eliminated next episode. And as we piece together the puzzle of what's to come for the rest of the season, as I see it, Rodney fits comfortably in that final four spot. We'll talk more about hometowns to come, but otherwise, everything else in this section is footage we've pretty much seen before. Clayton on his one-on-one date, this shot of Brandon in Mexico, and this shot of Nate with the orange swim trunks that he wears on multiple dates. So let's keep going.
Have you and Michelle kissed?
Guys, I can't tell you that.
It's just organic. We're only focused on each other.
I am falling in love with you.
There's nothing better than hanging out with this man.
Okay, so here is Michelle and Joe's prom. And Joe was obviously taking notes when Michelle was reciting her poem from a few episodes ago, specifically this part that we've talked about in the preview breakdowns before.
I was never the girl invited to cute dates at the apple orchard in the fall. I was the girl picked last for prom, but the first for basketball.
So this is for sure a hometown date. There's usually only one date a season where the contestant takes control and decides what to do, and that's the final four hometown. Here, Michelle will be staying in Minnesota for Joe's date, and they're going to be hitting up prom at Hopkins High School. Really makes sense considering last episode, Michelle took Joe to her high school. Now, Joe is going to return the favor and take her to Hopkins, the high school that he attended. The cherry on the cake will be Michelle finally getting to go to prom, and considering Hopkins' school colors are blue and white, this aligns well with the colors of the balloons in this shot. Other than that, we've got more of Joe in Mexico, Nate in Mexico wearing something other than orange swim trunks, and Brandon in a hot tub at the end of a date. All three of these men are confirmed in Mexico, and since no one has a hometown there, it confirms that all three of these guys are making it past the final four. So, let's continue.
I'm truly in love with you.
You are this amazing person.
She's the only woman that I've opened up this much to.
I am crazy about you.
Alright, and the date footage keeps rolling with more Nate and Michelle in Mexico, and take note of Nate back in his orange swim trunks. I know I've made a joke of him constantly wearing these same trunks all through the previews, but it's actually paid off in spades right here, as the one time that Nate changed in this shot might have given away that Nate is in the final two. Hear me out. We have Nate in 3 separate shots on the water. This one we can't confirm is in Mexico. There is a possibility that he and Michelle here are in Austin for a hometown. It's also possible we're still in Minnesota and Nate gets another one-on-one, which we'll talk about later, but here we know that the two are in Mexico, with Nate in these shorts, and then here we know that they're in Mexico as well, and both Nate and Michelle are in different outfits from the other shots. Now, after hometowns, when the dates have moved south of the border, there are only 2 more one-on-ones before the end. Fantasy Suites, and then the last date before the final rose ceremony. So, if we have 2 different date shots of Nate in Mexico, wouldn't that have to mean that he makes it to the final 2? Now, of course, this is all considering the season plays out in a standard way. We saw in Katie's season things get blown up, and that changed the format of the show, and in seasons past, like with Hannah Brown, we saw stuff like her keeping all 4 guys around after hometowns. But that kind of formatting we really can't predict, and I think we're going to be seeing a heartbreaking final 3 elimination later on in the preview, meaning the rest of the season is likely going to be more standard. For now, let's move on, and mark down this shot of Martin and this one of Olu. We'll talk more about these in the next segment.
I'm excited thinking about where we can end up.
They all have told me that I'm their person. But I can't be everybody's person.
Oh, and that Hans Zimmer brass thwomping sound means we're about to get into some drama. But before we get there, this last bit had a bunch of screen time for Rick. But note that all of it is pretty much still in Minneapolis. And Michelle is in her same outfit here as with Olu and Martin from those date shots before. In this preview, the only footage we get of Rick, Martin, Olu, and Clayton is footage from Minneapolis. The rest of the guys have footage that's either in Mexico or could be a hometown, which is a bad sign for Rick, Martin, Olu, and Clayton. And now that I think about it, I believe we can confirm Rodney as that 4th hometown date just by process of elimination. So we only have 1 more episode before hometowns. If this season is looking to end before Christmas, which it will, there are only 5 more episodes left. Next week's episode, hometowns, the men tell-all, the final 3, and then the finale. And if next week's group date is this farm date with Rodney, as we've seen in the previews, he can't also be getting an apple orchard one-on-one. And again, with only 1 episode before hometowns, we can safely speculate that this must be Rodney leading Michelle on a hometown date to the apple orchard she was never invited to from her poem, just like Joe does with his hometown date, taking her to prom. As a result, I think we know exactly who's getting the boot next week, but the question is, how are they getting the boot? I think we know 1, maybe even 2 guys who are going to be eliminated before the rose ceremony next week. But the evidence for that is still to come, so let's keep moving. And here's that final 3 elimination footage I was talking about earlier. Take note of the palm trees in the background. We're in Mexico here, and my thinking is that this is where Michelle eliminates Joe. So we've talked about Nate having 2 one-on-ones in Mexico this preview breakdown, and in the past, we've talked about Brandon having 2 one-on-ones in Mexico as well, as we have footage of him with Michelle here on a date, and then here with Michelle in a different outfit on another date. Which would then mean that him and Nate make it into the finale, and Joe is the odd one out. Now, all through the season, we've seen that Joe and Michelle have a strong connection and a lot in common, so it wouldn't surprise me to see Michelle so devastated in sending Joe home. Moving on.
I know that I'm gonna have to break somebody's heart, but also my heart could be broken.
My concern is that he would become a jealous person.
Hey, it's Ephraim, looking good in his finest Mexico wear. So this footage is going to be from the finale, where the final 2 come in to meet Michelle's family. And you know Ephraim's here to lay down the law, jealousy seeming to be his concern. And the preview ahead is going to imply that the person he's talking about is Nate.
That's my woman, that's my wife.
Oh, yeah. I want to let these guys know that's my girl.
Michelle deserves
Someone better.
You're an actor, and you've come on a reality TV show.
What are you talking about?
Okay, so Clayton could be bumping heads with Nate in the next episode, or he could be talking with literally anyone else. We don't know that this conversation for sure happens between these two. What we do know is that Clayton's days are numbered regardless of any kind of feud. Apart from there being no room for him in the final four, check out this shot, where the guys are all walking to the rose ceremony next episode. Here, only 6 men are accounted for. Now yes, there could be more guys in the back walking behind Brandon, but every season we always seem to have at least one man getting eliminated on a one-on-one date before hometowns. I think Clayton could be that guy. We also don't see Martin here. He too could be walking with the group, but we've also seen the setup from last episode, with Michelle beginning to turn away from Martin. Plus, check out this moment from the preview before the episode began on night 1, where Michelle says this.
I can no longer trust you.
Now this moment seems to match up with this group date with Martin, so I think she's talking to Martin here, and he's going to be sent home early. Now there's also one more thing of note in this shot right here. Nate has a rose, meaning he either gets another one-on-one next episode, or this is just the group date rose. We also know that Brandon is getting a one-on-one next episode, as in a previous preview breakdown, we sleuthed out that this date right here takes place at a skate park in Minnesota. So they could be purposely cutting Brandon off right here to not show the rose that he has. We also know that they've been editing out roses from the previews all season. Now, depending on how many one-on-ones we have next episode, expect Brandon to get a rose, Clayton to not get a rose, as if he did, he'd have to get a hometown spot, and then Nate to get a group date rose. However, we have seen seasons past where there have been 3 one-on-ones in the episode before hometowns. For example, Hannah Brown's season saw Tyler, Jed, and Mike all with one-on-ones, with Mike being sent home on his date. If that's the case, it would have to be Nate getting that 3rd one-on-one. Then at the rose ceremony, Joe and Rodney will get the last 2 roses. Moving on.
Do you feel like he could be ready for an engagement?
He's not there yet. I don't want him to hurt himself or you.
Alright, and we have a family member sighting for a hometown date. And this man seems to think that one of the guys is not, quote, there yet when it comes to an engagement. We'll see what the reality is for the actual date, cause they often like to edit these family members for maximum drama in the previews. But either way, who this man is has sparked a bit of a debate online. Many claim that this is Nate's stepdad, some have said that this is Joe's dad. So I spent a lot of time searching for photos on Instagram, and there was nothing really revealing, but the funny thing was, I then remembered that there are photos of all these people's families in the intro packages from the first episode. Here's Joe with his dad, Brandon with his family, and then here we have Nate with his stepdad. This is the closest match as I see it. Now apart from that, we also get a closer look at Michelle with Brandon here in her different swimsuit from this other date in Mexico. But let's move on.
Oh my god. I feel sick to my stomach.
I just want Michelle so badly.
I could have stronger feelings for him than he does for me.
Alright, so here we see Michelle in what looks to be Minneapolis, where it seems as though she's just eliminated someone, and her dress kind of matches what she's wearing here. Now, these might not actually be matches, but what I do see in this shot is Rodney right here in the corner. At least I think this is Rodney. I'd be willing to bet it is. So I'm gonna say that this moment is the end of the Final Four Rose ceremony, which will take place in Minneapolis, and here, Rodney has just been eliminated. Michelle will be upset, but then she'll return to the guys and tell them that they're headed to Mexico. Kinda like what she did when she told everyone they'd be changing locations from Palm Springs to Minnesota. Oh, and here's footage of Clayton all upset. Something seems to be going on with him as we have day footage of him crying, and then night footage of him on his one-on-one. But all of that is still ahead, so let's keep going.
I don't want to let this woman go.
I'm terrified.
I don't want her to let me go.
Okay, so we have a bunch of ominous crying shots that we don't know the context of, including that daytime shot of Clayton in the same outfit here that he's wearing in this crying shot. Not sure what kind of shenanigans are going on right here, but the end result isn't changing. Clayton is going home. We also have that shot that I was talking about from the beginning of the video. That looks like Rodney at the end of a hometown date, where the contestant and lead always sit down before the lead eventually goes off. And usually there's pressure for the contestant to say I love you or I'm falling in love with you. But alright, we're at the end now, and there's one more fake out before this preview ends, so let's take a look.
If I get to the end of this and he's not all in, I will be heartbroken.
And there you have it. The preview ends with the final rose ceremony and Michelle crying. But this is a mega fake out, and one that they've done before. Remember Tayshia's season and the previews we got then? They did the exact same thing with Tayshia crying at her final rose ceremony location, but it wasn't something upsetting that was happening, it was just her reacting to Zach's proposal. Now, every season there's always that question of, will there be a proposal? Even if we know there's a final rose ceremony, the question remains, will the person that's picked actually get down on one knee? But with this fake out and this reaction, as I see it, this confirms that Michelle is getting engaged at the end. And if it's between Brandon and Nate, I think that Nate is the one popping the question. Just from a purely narrative point, I think it's already being set up. And yes, even though this is reality TV, editors and producers will set up a season just like any movie or TV show with story beats, obstacles, and character arcs. What I see ahead is the story of will Nate be ready to propose, which is going to carry the tension and the drama leading up to the finale, and then when he does propose, we get the payoff. Which is something they're even feeding to us right now with the shot of Nate's stepdad telling Michelle that he thinks Nate's not ready or not, quote, there yet. This then plants the seed of doubt in our minds, making the journey to the end all the more exciting. So that's my take. We'll see if it actually plays out that way. And with that, it looks like we have the outlook for the rest of the season. Martin and Clayton look to be eliminated before the next rose ceremony, Olu and Rick after that. Then Rodney gets sent home after his hometown, followed by Joe, with Brandon and Nate in the final two, and Michelle getting engaged. So that's it for this extended preview breakdown for the rest of Michelle's season. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, leave a comment down below with your takes and theories, give the video a like, and subscribe for more. Michelle's season marches on next Tuesday, and until next time, Bachelor Fantake out.
If I get to the end of this and he's not all in, I will be heartbroken.